Hey, Dr. Webb, this is my Reflect and Connect for this week. Um, this Reflect and Connect is on the Zdzinski article called Instrumental Music for Special Learners. And as the title states, this is about adapting instrumental music for special learners and students that might have disabilities or other learning accommodations in the classroom. And pretty much the um, basis of this article is that through making small changes, instrumental music teachers can find ways to adapt the curriculum to students with disabilities or students that we would call special learners. Um, the first step, excuse me, for this comes from adapting musical instruments, and this can be done in a couple different ways. Um, uh, Zdzinski states in the article that students who are mentally challenged, it is recommended that they start on valved brass instruments, single reed woodwinds, or percussion instruments. And several sources, as Zdzinski says, state that that's the most appropriate choice. And if possible, the music teacher can confer with the special education teacher to determine the extent of any developmental limitations that might affect the student's ability to play an instrument. And what that sentence means is just communicate with people who are familiar with the student and can explain how they function as a learner to pick the instrument that would suit them best. And then for student with more physical challenges, this is where accommodation and fitting the instrument to the child, as you say in class, kind of applies. You know, a variety of band and orchestra instruments are appropriate if they're chosen carefully and correctly, and you can consult with the school's occupational or physical therapist. You can talk with them for guidance, and along with that, the student's instrumental preference is also considered, but you have to be able to help them with some accommodations. So if that's a way for them to hold it, or a mouthpiece adaptation, or changes for percussion instruments, either way, you are making it so that you can make the instrument more accessible for the student. In terms of the overall classroom, you also adapt the social environment. Depending on the student, you can assign them like a buddy or a partner to help them with rules and work. And you would explain to the students how the student with special needs is either similar or unlike them, and what they might need, and that's just so that everybody's on the same page. Maybe they get to know each other better. Furthermore, classroom conduct and routines have to be explained for the student, and they also must be treated in a sensitive but, as Zdzinski says, a non-patronizing manner that maintains their dignity. So you're not taking away the student's sense of pride or dignity. And then another topic Zdzinski touches on is parent involvement. And this is another good way to adapt the social environment, because you can use parental involvement in a bunch of different ways. And Zdzinski states that research indicates that some of the following parent strategies are related to more positive student attitudes and greater achievement in music. And this comes from a few I'll list: singing with the child, taking the child to school and non-school concerts, talking to the child about his or her progress in music, listening to music with the child at home and assisting with the child's practicing. There's a couple more bullet points that I'll skip over, but I think the key for this paragraph is getting the parent involved, because if you have them invested and able to supplement their child's learning, especially in music, it's going to help their growth. Finally, we have last few topics. The next paragraph was on adapting music. So you may have to either, blow the music up if they have some visual needs, or you might have to adjust your teaching method to help supplement the music reading skills. For example, a more oral approach using ear training to help music reading is one way. And you could have flashcards with pitch and rhythm patterns from songs to help reinforce music reading. Or you could try color coding music, and selecting music for the learner is important too, because you as the teacher have to keep in mind the different ability levels for that student and for the rest of the class. And for this, Zdzinski mentions that choosing familiar music is the best course of action. In terms of the teaching, you have to adapt your teaching technique and break things down into smaller, more manageable chunks, and that can be a very effective method in explaining things. Like, for example, if you break developing an embouchure into the smallest of tasks, then when you finally get them comfortable building embouchure, you could move on to the next task. And then for evaluating, you also have to evaluate, or you have to modify your evaluation techniques with a focus on goals, I think, and having, how their progress is doing in relation to the goal, the evaluation that you base your teaching off of. You might have to switch up your testing situations, or spread out how many objectives you have done for like a given evaluation, whether it's formal or informal. And then just using the evaluation and grading to help sustain a positive environment and a positive image, to help show continuous progress. And Zdzinski wraps up with a conclusion saying that students with disabilities can be successfully included in instrumental music programs as long as teachers are ready and willing to find ways to accommodate the needs of these students. And this will come more, I think, with experience and with time in the classroom and figuring things out and meeting new people. For me personally, this actually is kind of related to what's going on with me. I teach a private lesson in town, and my student has very minor autism and some vocal delay sort of things, and just finding a way to explain things and kind of develop a reasonable goal for communicating and practicing the bass is one thing that I've actually enjoyed working on, and he's really sweet and I like working with him. So I'm excited to keep working with him and learn more about how to, better myself as a teacher, and to learn how to deal with people with special needs and special accommodations in the music classroom.